You're listening to 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio Horror Program. And tonight on the show, there is an interesting book coming out from all the way over in the UK. The complete history of the Howling. It's just the complete history of the Howling. But it's the complete history of the Howling franchise. And we have the author of the book on the show with us, Burnkurt James Hammond. That's your full name, correct?
Yeah, you're close. It's Bryn, but there you go. It's a Welsh name, but yeah.
Okay. Is on the show with us to talk about the Howling franchise, the book, and what movies of the Howling you should watch and what you should completely stay away from. But I'm sure that his book actually keeps a very open mind when it comes to all the films. Is that correct? Or is it a review of the films? Or is it a history of the films?
Well, no, we kind of look at each movie as you know, from the production right the way through till the marketing and when it actually is released, and then we discuss how financially successful it was and what was its pitfalls, etc. with each movie, and we interview cast and crew from each movie, and you know, that's kind of what the book is. But then obviously I put my tongue-in-cheek version to each story, because obviously each movie is completely balmy, and the way they've been put together is completely absurd. So yeah, I don't really keep I don't really keep you know, straight-faced with my writing. So I'm honest about my feelings for each movie, but I do keep it very general. Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. You have, how many films are in the Howling franchise? 10?
8.
8. Okay, 8. I gave
and
it
then
two.
You've got a remake coming out in 2020.
Oh my god. Okay.
I know.
Okay. Now, well, that brings up a separate question which I'll ask in 1 second. How do you do a book based on a film series that just like God? They do just get worse and worse as they went along. I mean, they are so far removed at some point from the actual original story. And then I think like 4
even the original's not even like the original story.
Right.
So the Gary Brandon, I did meet him once when I was doing Gorzo magazine, and that was back in 2010, and he hated the original, and I thought the original was cool, but I'd watched part 4. Part 4 is more like his book, a lot of talking and not a lot of action. So yeah, but I thought a lot of them were really bad. But if you saw the Howling History Twitter page, a lot of people really like part 5, which actually hasn't got a werewolf in. So yeah, as you said, half of them are very bad, and I'm very honest about it. So yeah,
it is very interesting that the out of all the films, Screen Factory, which is a company here in the United States that puts out collector's edition Blu-rays of, and they were doing DVDs, but they're pretty much just Blu-rays now, of the first 2 Howling films, Howling and Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, or Howling She Bitch something another.
Yeah. They did a special release in the UK of part 2, but they haven't released part 1 in the UK because part 1 didn't do as well as part 2, so in the UK. So yeah,
is part 2 bigger in the UK because of its international kind of filming locations and the fact that the late great Christopher Lee?
No, it's just because it's purely bad.
Oh wow!
So I gave that the UK people. Have you ever watched The League of Gentlemen?
Well,
it's a British TV show.
The British have got
a very. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I just gave that film way too much credit by even saying the fact that the late, great Christopher Lee was in it.
He hated it. I've actually met him twice, and Howling 2 was banned from conversation. Oh. So it's all in the book, but yeah, this was before he died, obviously. Oh, well, so, but rest in peace. Yes. But yeah, no, Howling 2 is bad, but I really enjoy it, and I think it's because it's that bad, it's that good. So yeah, it's got a bigger following in the UK because Dee Wallace, when she saw the cover of the book, she was not impressed that she was on the front, but I picked based on well, the UK audience, who they enjoyed in the movies, and they picked her on the front cover. And yeah, so Dee Wallace wasn't impressed that she was on the front cover, but she didn't like being a werewolf either. So because her character, but she's a very good character actress. So yeah.
She's been on this show a couple of times. We've talked
Oh,
about.
I love her so much, though.
It's fine. She's a lot of fun to have on the show. She was more than happy to talk about the Howling. But she has such a large body of work. So we also talked about Cujo and E.T. and the last time she came on, she had just done a stint on Grimm, and on Grimm she plays a
werewolf,
a kind of a werewolf character, a Blutblood, which is a werewolf in Germany. And I thought that was brilliant casting to have her play the mother of our werewolf kind of character, big bad wolf character on Grimm.
But she was still a poodle though, wasn't she, when she turned? I was told.
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Yeah, no, I was told by because I'm not a huge werewolf fan, so I don't know much about werewolves. So I got Nick Steed, who's a huge werewolf horror fan, involved in the book as well, through a mutual fan, and he obviously educated me on the werewolf lycanthropy. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the werewolfy side stuff. And Dee Wallace didn't like, because her character, she didn't feel that because she was rejecting that type of life, she didn't want to become full-fledged werewolf. So werewolf fans are not particularly full-fledged werewolf fans aren't particularly happy with the poodle look. So I was told the other day she was another poodle on one of his favourite shows, and he was like, she really does like the poodle look, doesn't she? So I was like, oh, okay. But yeah.
How does a guy who's not a big werewolf fan write the ultimate werewolf companion book?
I grew up, believe it or not, in the 80s, so I look very young, but I am not that young. A lot of botox. So, and I loved Howling 4, believe it or not, and it kind of, that movie was absolutely amazing to me because it was the first werewolf movie I'd ever watched. I know it's terrible. It's probably the worst in the Howling franchises.
It is.
I know. Who cares? I said us Brits are a bit weird.
A little bit,
but
yeah.
I know. I do like it, though. Do you know what? Even though I'm gay now, I had a huge crush growing up as Rome. Do you know Romy Windsor, the lead actress? I had a huge crush on her. She was like, oh my God, as a child, I really wanted to marry that woman. So, but, madness. But yeah, so I started backwards from part 4. Then I went to part 1. Then I watched part 2. And then I got to part 3 and I was like, ouch. Then I didn't watch them for a long time, till I started writing the book, but it come all very organically. So the book did, but it was because I was chatting to Philip Mora, who's a friend of mine, who directed part 2 and wrote and directed part 3 and funded part 3. So yeah, that's how it all come together.
Now, how many times have you had to watch each film?
I've watched them several times, like most people, but for all the wrong reasons. So, yeah. The only one which I haven't watched very many times is the line dancing one, which is part 7.
Okay.
Which is truly terrible. I'm not sure what it's called in America, but in the UK it's called New Moon Rising.
I think that was the title here as well, I believe.
I know there was one called Lost Woman and some other woman. And there's a few other titles with woman in it, so...
I will be honest, I have only ever seen 1, 2, and 3. After 3, I just couldn't bring myself to continue watching them.
Oh my God, you need to watch part 4.
No.
Even if it's just for the sex scenes, they are ridiculous.
Wait a minute.
They are mad.
I saw the one where, like, it's like a bunch of kids in an abandoned castle. Which one was that? Was that part 6?
Oh, no, that's 5.
Okay, I saw 5 then.
Yeah. No, that's the one without the werewolf, which everyone likes. So you shouldn't say that. So I did a vote out of which ones besides the original that people actually liked, and part 5 came off. Like, literally, nearly 200 people voted, and half of them voted for part 5. So I was shocked by it. No one voted for part 4, so I shot myself in the foot. So, but there you go.
Did you get
Gotta
a
be
chance?
honest.
Did you get a chance to read the Howling comic book series that just came out here in America? Return of the Werewolf Queen.
Right, I'm gonna be honest. The book had already been predominantly finished by the time that came out. Well, no. But I did write about it in the book as the comic was coming out, and it isn't, well, I don't know if it hasn't got a release in the UK, so I couldn't get any copies. So, and I didn't contact that sounds really bad. No, I'm going to be honest, I didn't bother. So, that's being honest. No, I haven't read it. No.
No, that's fine. I mean, sometimes when you put a book together like this, you're not going to be able to hit every single piece of that franchise. And a great example of that is Leviathan, which is the story of Hellraiser. There's a couple things they had to unfortunately leave out of that giant documentary that was released about the film a couple years ago. Mainly Clive Barker and the star Ashley Lawrence, mainly because they were sick. So they weren't able to hit upon every single little beat. And in fact, the comic books as well, the comic books of Hellraiser only get kind of a footnote in that documentary as well. So sometimes it's a matter of like what you have time for and what you have time to do and what.
Well, literally, the comic in the UK, it only came up via our Twitter account. So, and we were like literally 2 weeks away from print. And I would have liked to have got copies, but it hadn't been released in the UK. So we made a note that it was something that was out there, but we obviously didn't approach anyone to get images to use any of the pictures. So we didn't. We just mentioned the comic at the end. Excuse me, hiccuping. Mentioned the comic at the end, and that was it. But I hope they, I hope when we do, because we're doing a reissue of the book for the States, and we've got one of my favourite people who's on YouTube who does terrible horror movie reviews, and she's going to review each Howling movie and in the book. So hopefully we can add that to the second edition. So, but yeah.
What YouTuber is going to be doing that?
She has an amazing YouTube channel. Oh my God, you would not believe how funny it is. She's really sardonic with everything that she does. It's something like Obscure.
Oh, Obscura Lupa. Yep, I know who that is. Okay. I've watched her stuff. In fact, she reviewed all
it's Alison Pregler, Obscure Lupa.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to find out.
It's Obscure
Brilliant
Lupa.
lady.
She did all 14 of the witchcraft films, which are basically TNA erotic thrillers.
I know. She did it so well.
Oh, my God. They were so goddamn funny because I can't watch those movies. I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't have time to watch absolute garbage. If it is just so terrible, I just don't have time to sit there and watch a 2-hour trash film. So, like,
okay, avoid Howling 4 then.
Yeah. Now, what's funny is when I was 6, 7, 8 years old on USA Network, they had this horror show host called Captain USA, and he was showing Howling 2, and I saw it when I was like home alone. I didn't know what the hell I was watching when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I saw that orgy scene. I was like, what the hell is this?
How old was you, did you say?
Probably 7 or 8 years old. This was when I was living in.
Oh my God.
Germantown.
That's probably why you like horror movies. You've been disturbed for life.
I mean, God, when did Howling 2 come out? 1985. Okay. I moved to Germantown, Maryland with my family in 1986 until 1990 when my parents split up. So it was between 1986 and 1990, and I'm sure through the annuals of the internet, searching hard through TV Guide's archives, I can find out when Howling 2 aired on USA in the 80s to know exactly when I watched it, when I wasn't supposed to be.
We've actually probably got it in the book because we listed when it first aired on TV, because the TV cut had slightly more nudity than the cinematic cut. So, and I think it was the only reason that they kept more nudity in is to keep people watching longer. So, because it is Philip Moore is not going to lie, because he even says it in his foreword. It is a bad movie.
Now,
So, but he says it very tongue in cheek.
do you also list like what films have had like DVD, VHS, Laserdisc, Blu releases?
Yeah, we do. So, not Laserdisc, but we do list at the end. Obviously, once they've gone from the marketing point, because being coming from a magazine background, I had to work with what they call PR companies, which are absolutely atrocious. So I understood how bad marketing campaigns can be. So we go from the marketing campaign till when the film is released. And then we discuss the reason why it possibly could flop, and then we say obviously the reason why it took so long to go to Blu-ray, DVD. Well, VHS, we say when it originally comes out on VHS, because Wikipedia is totally shit. So I must highlight that. If you go on Wikipedia, it tells you something's been released on one day when it really hasn't. So, yeah, they get most things wrong. But, yeah, so we go through that, and then the VHS release, then cinematic VHS, and then DVD and Blu-ray. So we don't do Laserdisc, because Laserdisc was never really a thing in the UK.
Okay.
So we probably will do that for the US edition, but I'd have to, because I've got a few people in the States which I've spoken to recently, which hopefully I can work with once I go to Vegas in October. So that'll be awesome. Do you know Sin City's Halloween festival?
I'm familiar with it, but I've never been to Vegas.
Oh my gosh, I've been to Vegas. It's mad, but not as mad as me. But there's 50-50 there. But yeah, I'm going to do a signing, and there's going to be a special thing with the induction of some things. I can't say too much, but it's going to be very exciting. So I'm very excited. So I can't wait to go there. But when I go there, hopefully I'll get to meet them, and then we can discuss the US version of the book. So I want to do something for the US version of the book. Obviously, keep all the UK content, but expand it.
Now, there's a great podcast I love that I've been associated with for several years called Outside the Cinema, and they actually did a podcast episode for every single one of the Howling movies, and it was fun in the beginning, but you could tell they were torturing themselves by the end of it.
Which one was the worst one that they watched?
But basically 3 through 8. They pretty much
Oh my God.
They pretty much had the same opinion.
Number 4, I still say number 4 is amazing, and that's only because obviously I've got nostalgia attached to it. I don't know. The last one which was made, they went back to basics and used a lot of prosthetics. That was quite good in terms of the prosthetics at the end, but. Did you ever watch Dawson's Creek growing up?
I did watch Dawson's Creek when I was growing up.
Okay, Dawson's Creek with werewolves. If you could get through Dawson's Creek, you can get through the last one, which is the 8.
Wasn't that also kind of like what was that movie Wes Craven did, Cursed?
No. God, that was terrible. I liked it just for Christina Ricci. The CGI was awful.
Oh, it was totally terrible. But you know what was really great? I just watched, oh God, now it's killing me to escape. Oh, Dog Soldiers.
Did you like it?
I did. And what's funny is that
Would you recommend it?
I would. I watch Gotham a lot, and the actor who plays Alfred Pennyworth on Gotham is in Dog Soldiers.
I know him. I worked on Celebrity Ghost Hunt with him.
One of my biggest YouTube videos on my YouTube channel is my Film Dungeon commentary series presenting Howling 2.
Okay.
It's had almost 4,000 views on it. My channel's not as big as Obscura Lupa's, but I'm pretty proud that that the Howling 2 commentaries had like 4,000 views.
I'm totally up. I would love to watch it. So
I will send you a link to it on through our private conversation on Twitter after this interview.
Yes, Defo. That'd be awesome.
I noticed in the PDFs that I got from the company that you also covered the music for the films too, which is great.
We covered the music purely down to the fact it's in the 80s. They used a lot of pop songs, rock, pop, to promote singles, and then they released them as singles to promote the movies. So yeah, that's the reason. And they had a very big actor in the from the UK called Jimmy Nail in the second movie. You would never even know who he is. Jimmy Nail was in the second movie. I'm not sure. Hang on, I've got the book in front of me because I have to stop there. My crystals. I know, weird, eh? Right, yeah. Jimmy Nail was in the second one, but Babylel. Yeah, their song "Howling" was quite well. That's what most people remember from Howling 2. So you have to cover the music, don't you?
Now, with the Howling films, other than soundtracks, DVD, Blu-ray releases, or like that 4-issue comic books, is there any Howling action figures? I mean, how much Howling merchandise?
Yeah,
is
you've
really
got
out
Howling
there?
1. Do you know the wolf from Howling 1 at the end? You've got the action figure of him, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, wow.
I know, because it wasn't, well, that's as far as I know. It was never as popular, because I did an interview this evening, email, and it was the same question. Most people want to know about American Werewolf in London, and I think that's because it was set in London, but as far as I know, most people that I know in London are not interested in about American Werewolf in London. It's the Howling. So I think it's because we know what London's really like. So a lot of us, when we were growing up, didn't know what America was like. So that's why we like the Howling more. So I guess that's why a lot of the people in America think American Werewolf in London's brilliant. I don't know. What did you think? Which one was better for you?
I have always gone with the Howling over American Werewolf in London, and I do
My
American
God,
Werewolf in
you're
London.
going to get shot for this.
I'm sorry. I mean, I like John Landis's movie, but I saw the Howling first. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of like I grew up with Star Wars over Star Trek, and I know that's kind of a weird comparison, but the best one I could think of. I don't know. I've always gravitated to the Howling, and again, it's probably because of my psyche was so destroyed as a child watching a werewolf orgy at the age of 8 years old.
That's so true.
Now, how much?
No, I actually think though the performances in the Howling are absolutely amazing. Dee Wallace is outstanding.
Sybil Danning will not talk about the Howling either, by the way.
Oh, really? Not well. That's not right. She was going to talk about it to me, but she wanted a lot of pound signs. Well,
Bert,
dollar signs,
I asked
or wherever
her for an interview twice.
Say that again.
I'm sorry. I asked her for an interview twice, and she shot me down, saying that she'll talk about anything.
She only interviews for cash.
No, she didn't ask me for money, but she said that she'd rather not talk about the Howling. So,
really,
yeah, she'll talk about anything else, but she won't talk about the Howling. I mean, hell, she'll talk about Battle Beyond the Stars.
Right now, this is probably where, because we fell out, and because I interviewed her for GZ magazine, we did a nice interview with her, and we did one about, she had just done the Forks trailer for Rob Zombie, and for SSS women werewolves, women of the SS.
Yes.
Sorry, and I did an interview with her. Great lady. I thought she was absolutely cool. I approached her about the Howling book, and they said, yeah, but are you going to pay her like XYZ? And I was like, are you joking? I've just done an interview with Dee Wallace totally for free. She's totally amazing, and now you're asking me for cash. And I was told Sybil Danning's a bigger star, and I was like, really? Have you ever seen her act? So, and then we left it at that, and I haven't been too happy about the way we left it. And I'm being honest, that's why I was cuss, because honestly I just thought it was a bit rude. So, especially saying that, because, I won't go into the politics, but I just thought it was really rude.
No, that's fine. You don't need to go into the politics. I completely understand, and I've not had like long conversations with her. It's just been a very polite.
Well,
I really don't.
It's in the book though, because I always put everything. If someone is really rude, because I think there's nothing buys manners. So they could have been really polite and declined me and said, sorry, they didn't have to bring Dee Wallace into it because I think she's amazing. And to be quite frank with you, if it's if it was Dee Wallace or Sybil Danning, I'd go with Dee Wallace every day, and that's the truth. And I know Sybil Danning will probably never ever speak to me. She'll probably slap me if she ever meets me, but I'm just telling the truth.
Now,
So,
I was at a convention in Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Comic Con, and they had Reb
okay.
Brown there from. They were promoting him for being from like one of the original Captain America movies from the '70s. But I wanted to talk to him
Oh.
about Howling 2.
Oh, the guy, the bimbo guy. You know, I love him. I think he's so sweet. Yeah, he doesn't like Howley.
No, but it was funny is that he did mention that he's just like, I will give it to Howling 2. It was the second film I ever got to work with Christopher Lee on, and that will always have a memory for me because Christopher Lee was the villain in Captain America 2: Death Too Soon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you have a lot of information about the books? Because there's like 2 Howling novels that the movies are somewhat based on, correct?
No, there's 3 Howling books.
Okay, 3.
There's Howling, The Return to Howling, but then it was retitled Howling 2. They dropped the to tie in with, well, the distribution company, well, the publishing house dropped the to tie in with the movie. And then there's the 3rd Howling, which is the Howling, oh God, Howling Echoes, which is more close to Howling the Freaks, which is Howling VI the Freaks and Howling Reborn. That's the book. Sorry. Howling Echoes is more closest to Howling 8 and Howling 6. And then you've got Howling, which was the original novel, which is closest to Howling 4. Then you've got Howling 2, which has no relation to any of them. So, yeah, but I've read them. They're great.
I have the second one. I found it in a used bookstore, and I immediately had to buy it.
What did you think?
It was interesting as I was the cover.
Be truthful.
The cover was really beat up, so I wasn't aware that there was a second book in the series, and this was years before I became a horror host. So I haven't read it in about probably 10 years, but I was really kind of blown away on my first impressions of it. Like, I was like, wow, they didn't do anything in this like the movie, or the movie didn't follow anything in the book. Years later, when I start researching and looking into films, I begin to understand the history of the books. But as a horror host and doing this for 11 years, I haven't read it since then. So my opinion about it would be very different if I reread it today.
A lot of people, though, do not like the books. So I completely understand that, because the author was totally unknown when the movie came out, because in those days they were just buying up book material because it was cheap. So, and Gary's movie was one of the books which was bought up cheap, and
Did you ever
Joe
see the
Dante
movie,
put his stamp on it.
Did you ever see the movie Bad Moon?
I have watched it. Yes.
Did you like it?
Why? Is it one of your favourites?
Did you like it?
I'm not going to say anything until you say if you liked it.
No, come on, say something before I give my opinion.
No, I'm not going to. No, go on.
I do own it on Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Scream Factory puts out tons of stuff. A lot of like Ginger Snaps. They put out Ginger Snaps.
Oh my
Soldiers,
God, do you know Ginger
Moon.
Snaps is absolutely awesome. I like the first and the 3rd movie.
Yeah.
They are brilliant movies.
Yes, I love those movies. I love Catherine Isabel in those films.
Oh, which one's that? Is that the ginger or the...
She's the werewolf.
Yeah, but there's 2 werewolves.
Well,
There's 3.
she's-
There's the other girl with the white hair, isn't there, in the second one?
She's the main character. She's the sister.
Oh,
becomes a
okay,
werewolf.
yes. Who's in Freddy vs. Jason. Yes.
Yes.
I liked
and
her.
American
She was
Mary.
brilliant.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, I think, that movie's different.
A little bit.
So-
I've heard a lot of female...
Not Ginger Snaps, the one that we were talking about before, but I'm not going to say anything bad against it unless because you've asked a question about it, so there's obviously something that you're thinking about it.
Bad Moon was one of the first werewolf movies I ever watched that I can remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I was not a huge werewolf fan for a number of years until after I saw Bad Moon. And then I
Okay.
started looking for more werewolf things. Like, honestly, I think my memory goes, if my memory is correct, it goes Howling 2, then many years later, Bad Moon, then many years later, The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney. And then I
Okay.
just started going after any werewolf movie I could find, or my first impression of a werewolf at any serious media was probably on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh my God. Do you know what? How weird is that? Do you know what was on television today? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the werewolf episode.
Where Seth Green is revealed to be the werewolf.
Yes, and he's locked himself in a cage with this rock band lady. It was on television today. I was like, oh my gosh, how weird is that?
Now,
So,
that's funny is that the werewolf special effects on Buffy were really good, and then they got really, really bad. Kind of like the TV series Supernatural. They went full werewolf in the first appearance of a werewolf in that show, but ever since then, werewolves on the TV series Supernatural are just long claws and long teeth and like some contact lenses. They are
yeah.
freaking terrible. Just gonna watch
What
that
is your
story.
thoughts about? Because today's when I did an interview today, I was asked about my opinion on werewolfism and on television and movies. I can't really watch many werewolf stuff because I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
Mostly is really inconsistent, and I know that's very contradictory considering I've done a book on the
No, it's not.
biggest
It's dude. Hey,
contradictory movie series in the world, but
it's not. It's not contradictory. There are a lot of absolutely god awful, terrible werewolf projects out there, and I
what do you
just
think of Teen Wolf?
the TV series on MTV. I've never seen it.
Right, my sister drove me crazy to watch it, so I watched it. I've got through a few episodes. It reminds me of a terrible version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a real bad D Class A version. So I've not got through. Then I tried Bitten. Oh
Um,
God,
yeah, I watched one episode of Bitten and I had to turn it off. I was like, okay, this is so dumb.
I did not even get through the full episode of the first. I just can't buy into the characters. The one which I did enjoy until I got to mid season was Hemlock, but then it just got boring. So
Yeah, Hemlock ran off the rails for me, and I stopped watching it after season 2. Uh,
there you
God,
go. I
yeah,
was the same.
yeah, pretty
I
much, yeah.
tried.
But there was a great werewolf series on in the late '90s, early 2000s that was pretty popular among teenagers called Big Wolf on Campus.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that on Nickelodeon?
ABC Family.
Okay, we got it on Nickelodeon in the UK. So yeah, I know which you're talking about. Yeah, and the guy had because when we're because I pulled from the original book. We were in the original book. We wanted to do before the Howling stuff. We wanted to do the history of literally, everything up till the current day. But then once the book had got released, because werewolf stuff became popular again, there was a lot of werewolf stuff coming out very fast. So we just pulled that segment of the book. So we had covered that, which I had to sit through a few episodes of that. So it was different. And as you say, the werewolf special effects certainly got terrible towards mid-season because Werewolf on Campus, the guy ended up just having a slight bit of hair glued to his face.
And there's God, man, I got ridiculed. I got not ridiculed, but I got some hate sent towards the show when I completely blasted the terrible werewolf romance film Blood and Chocolate.
Oh my God, what the worst movie ever. I actually said that today as well. Oh my God, how weird is that? Terrible. Couldn't watch it. Awful. I got up to the part where all those werewolves, CGI werewolves, were jumping from rock to rock. I had to turn it off. That was when I was getting screeners sent, and I just thought, this was back in the day with Jesus, and I was like, oh my God, what a terrible movie. Who would make this? It was awful. It was like Twilight on steroids,
Oh
but with a
yes.
female. It was weird. Hated it. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one.
There's the one thing in that movie that gets me, and Twilight does it too, is the werewolves just transform in like a flash, like a snap of a finger. You're a werewolf. That's it. There's no.
Well, all you have to
That's
do
it.
is jump, and it's like it's not even. All I remember from that movie is that at one point they're all on a rock and they're jumping from rock to rock and they're very quickly like it's so stupid and I just did not like it. I can't, but yeah, I get what you mean, like Twilight, because somebody sent me a screenshot of Taylor Lautner very changing very quickly because my sister's obsessed with him and he changes like literally in an instant. So yeah, I get ya.
No, you're absolutely 100% correct. It was truly freaking dreadful.
What happens at the end of that? Can you just tell me?
Blood
just
and Chocolate, dude. I haven't watched
Blood and Chocolate.
I have not watched it in years, so I don't remember.
Because it was based on a book, and that's why I was very excited to watch it.
And in fact, the book is very well received in the werewolf community. A lot of werewolf fans like the book. They just shat all over the movie in the worst way, like Hollywood can.
Right, can we rewind this and say I like the film? I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
No, don't
I
do that.
really
Stick
find the film terrible. It was one
know,
of the worst.
There is something
and it had great cover art.
There's a great werewolf story I highly recommend. The American comic book based on the Marvel comic book, by the way. So this is a Disney property.
Okay.
Werewolf by Night by Marvel Comics.
Okay.
Great gothic horror comics.
Is that part of the there was a werewolf in the X Factor, which was a Marvel comic series which never got very much coverage, but I absolutely love that comic series. Was that the werewolf from that one?
That was a character called Wolfsbane. She's a mutant, not a werewolf.
Oh, she was hairy.
But she's a mutant, so I mean she's got the X gene in her. But the Werewolf by Night has been animated before on several Marvel Marvel cartoons. So we're just kind of waiting to see if Disney will ever make. I mean, we've gotten Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange does delve in the supernatural. But Blade, Morbius the Living Vampire, Werewolf by Night, Man Thing. These are all properties that Disney now owns, and we're waiting to see if they ever turn them into live action features, Netflix or something.
I've just got Werewolf by Night up on my phone. Yeah, but they won't ever do Blade, will they? Because Wesley Snipes has got a big stake in the production of that movie. So
he can have a stake in anything. He doesn't own the property. Disney does. Wesley Snipes doesn't have any say about Blade. Disney owns Blade. Disney owns the two Dracula comic books.
So they can turn one... Because I really enjoyed the Blade series, the movie series. I thought it was brilliant, but it was very difficult, allegedly. So, and that's why they refused to make a fourth one. And he's always come forward to say, yeah, he's really up for it. But his behaviour stopped them making the fourth movie.
Well, I heard the third one had a lot of problems, and I'm not going to put it all on the feet of Wesley Snipes, but Disney 100% owns Blade. They can do whatever they want with it. The only thing they've done with it so far is have him appear on, like, Spider-Man the Animated Series, the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, or the Avengers or something. That's it. So he has appeared in media that Disney owns, but he has not appeared live action yet. People are hoping that Disney will do something with Blade and their version of Dracula and the Frankenstein monster and all the other Marvel monsters at some point.
People forget, though, don't they? Because I know Disney's got a lot of flack for buying up all these companies, but they also, at one point, had a share in Dimension Films, which released Scream in the UK. So they did used to release horror output under a shareholder, which was, with the Weinstein Company, which is obviously a company which no one wants to talk about. But they still released horror films, so they could still do it under a different company offshot if they wanted to, which would be really cool.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I enjoy Blade.
Yeah, maybe. We'll just have to wait and see. Where can people go to find out more information about the book and possibly order it in the future when you come to, when it's finally in print?
Right, it comes out November the 7th.
Okay.
They can pre-order it. I'm not sure where they can pre-order it from, so that's a terrible thing for me not to know. But yeah, if they go online and type in the complete history of the Howling, then there's loads of stuff online. Hopefully, I'll send you some... Have you got a website?
I do. Do we, or what do you want to send?
Well, if I send you some exclusive content,
Oh, you can send it to my
yeah,
email. That radioofhorror@gmail.com. I will send you a private message on Twitter right now with the email
okay,
address. Okay.
yeah, and then I'll send you some exclusive content which you can then put up, which nobody else will have until the book hits the States, and I'll send you the tour dates for the States where they can pick it up before it hits the stores. And yeah.
Sounds good. I
So
sent you so I sent you the email for Radio Horror, and I sent you a link to the commentary we did for Howling 2.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking about the Howling films, and I really look forward to this book coming out soon in later this year.
Thank you. Well, if you send me your address, I will send you a copy through the post.
Awesome.
So as long as you don't say anything bad before it comes out.
No.
You can say what you want. I'm joking. That was a joke.
No, that's fine.
So,
But we won't do a review of it until it gets closer to release and we get the okay, because we know that certain things under contracts can't be released yet, or previews of it can't be put on like YouTube or anything.
Well, I'm probably going to be shot for saying that I'm going to send you a copy anyway. So,
oh, you're the author.
There you go.
It's fine.
I've already said it. I can't go back.
Again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Maybe when the book is out everywhere, we'll have you back on the show. Maybe we can go through the book together a little bit at a time.
Yeah, definitely. And then you can quiz me on anything that you want. And yay. Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
There is, which I did say I was going to say earlier on. There's a fabulous group in the UK which are one moment, let me just get it up on my blah, 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 one moment. Sorry, it's called for any actresses that are black that don't associate themselves with being white. If they want to join a group, it's called Actress OC, which is Actresses of Colour, which is they're trying to look to change the way the industry looks at typecasting. So if that's all I wanted to give a plug for, if that's okay.
No, yeah, that's totally fine. That's.
I think it's a great cause. I think equality is amazing, and I just think that everyone should be allowed to be who they want to be.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm not flying a flag for anything, but I'm just saying, yay.
No,
if you want to be a werewolf, be a werewolf. So
that's a whole that is a whole other conversation, and I completely forgot to mention.
No, God, because Nick,
hold on,
who wrote this is true. Nick, who wrote the story arc in the book, which is a homage to the author's original trilogy, he's really a werewolf inside, which is deadly true.
Forgot to mention that I do a podcast called Supernatural Creatures and Lore, connected to the TV series Supernatural, and next week's episode is our werewolf episode.
Oh my gosh, you should get him on there for sure.
We will. Well, the episode's already recorded, so we'll have to wait for another time. But it's our first werewolf episode for the Supernatural Creatures and Lore podcast. So we all sorts of werewolves, including my co-host. She's in a movie where she has sex with a werewolf. The movie, in the context of the movie, not in real life.
What movie's that?
I don't remember. You'll have to listen to the podcast because I don't remember the name of the werewolf movie off the top of my head. When I start editing
when's it broadcast?
We will be posting it next Friday. I'll send you a link. I will
definitely be there.
I will send you a link on Twitter.
Oh, you're a star, matey. Brilliant. Awesome.
Thank you again so much for coming on the show.
No, thank you. And I hope when I'm your side of the country, we can go and grab a root beer.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Or a pint.